Millionaire's outrage quite exposed, employees' incredible response left 1 million speechless. In the cozy diner, the clatter of plates and cheerful banter floated like a soothing melody. It was an ordinary Tuesday until Richard Caldwell, the millionaire with a reputation for ruthless business tactics, barged in. With a sharp suit and an icy glare, he cut through the laughter. Sarah Johnson, a dedicated waitress and single mother, approached him with her familiar warm smile, balancing steaming coffee and a plate of pancakes. But in an instant, everything shattered. "You're unfit for this job. Maybe you should find a career that suits your skills," Richard thundered, his voice echoing against the diner's walls. Gasps filled the air, puncturing the joyful atmosphere. Sarah's heart sank. The shock waves of his words rattled her like a violent storm. Tears welled in her eyes, blurring the faces of the customers who knew her struggles raising 2 kids and caring for her ailing father. Their expressions transformed from surprise to solidarity, indignation sparking in their chests. Richard's words stung like ice, cutting deeper than any knife. He turned to leave, but the patrons remained, eyes aflame with determination to defend Sarah. "How dare you!" someone shouted, and a collective murmur of agreement surged through the diner. Fueled by the simmering outrage, Sarah felt a flicker of something new, a fire kindling within her. The pain twisted in her chest, igniting her will to fight. Instead of lashing out or retreating into despair, she decided to take action. With a deep breath, determined not to let Richard's comments extinguish her hopes, Sarah hatched a plan. She would organize a community rally. She would share her story and the struggles of working-class families, ensuring Richard's cruelty wouldn't go unchecked. Word spread like wildfire. Flyers circulated, neighbors rallied, and soon the town buzzed with excitement. It felt electrifying. Just as she was gaining momentum, Richard's shadow loomed larger. Desperate to silence her, he unleashed threats. His wealth turned to a weapon meant to intimidate her into submission. Nights grew sleepless, hope rattling in Sarah's heart. Then, an unexpected call shattered her worry. It was Jake, her father's old buddy, now running a popular online channel. "I see what you're doing, Sarah. Let us expose Richard's shady dealings together," he said. Hope surged through her veins. Heeding his call, Sarah felt that perhaps, just perhaps, they could shine a light on the truth. As the day of the rally approached, the community gathered beneath the bold banner, "Strength in Unity." Sarah stood before her neighbors, her voice a battle cry. She recounted her father's sacrifices, the relentless struggle for a better life, and her attempts to keep her family afloat. Tears glimmered in her eyes, illuminating the passion and resilience that coursed through her, but amidst the uplifting chorus, Sarah caught sight of Richard lurking in the shadows. Her heart raced as the atmosphere shifted, tension cracking like thunder. Just as her resolve teetered, her phone buzzed incessantly. Jake's post was going viral, exposing Richard's underhanded tactics, lighting a fire in public discourse. The community leaned in, excitement buzzing as they realized the full scope of the truth coming to light. In this electric moment, with the crowd's mighty roar rising against the millionaire, Sarah knew she faced a choice. Would she let fear overtake her, or would she stand strong, unyielding against Richard's dark glare? The air thickened with anticipation, pulsating with the question, would her dreams shatter or thrive amidst the storm? Sarah's heart pounded as she stared at Richard, the reality of her situation crashing down like waves against a rocky shore. All the emotions she'd bottled up spilled over, filling her with a new determination. The rally was more than just a protest, it was a chance to reclaim her narrative, to redefine what it meant to be a hardworking mother battling against indignity and injustice. She straightened her shoulders, emboldened by the faces surrounding her. The crowd's anticipation was palpable. "You all know my story," she cried, her voice breaking through the murmur of disbelief. "We're not just statistics. We're daughters, sons, parents, and friends." Her words hung in the air, weaving through their hearts. An eruption of cheers answered her rallying cry. Richard's eyes darkened. He couldn't stand to see the shift in power. As murmurs of support cascaded through the crowd, he stepped forward, a tidal wave of arrogance against their sea of resilience. "This is nothing but a farce," he spat. "You think this will change anything? You're wasting your time." But Sarah felt the buzz of unity swelling, a force so mighty it engulfed the chill he tried to cast. "No, Mr. Caldwell," she shot back, her voice steady, "I'm here to show that our voices matter. We will not be silenced." Each word ignited a fire in the crowd, a wave of momentum pushing back against Richard's cold disdain. They began to chant together, their voices merging into an anthem of defiance. "Sarah! Sarah! Sarah!" It rang out, drowning Richard's condescension, and she felt alive, seen, and powerful. In the heat of the moment, her phone buzzed again. Jake's latest video was trending. He posted interviews from neighbors, everyone sharing their struggles akin to hers. Stories of missed rent, sleepless nights, and relentless hard work poured into the light. They became threads of a tapestry revealing a shared experience, stitching them tighter together. Richard's facade crumbled as he watched the tide turn. The momentum was shifting, and he was losing control. Among the rallying cries, Sarah spotted Mrs. Henderson, an elderly woman who had once told her stories of her own battles against hardships. Her eyes sparkled proudly, reflecting a legacy of resilience that could inspire generations. Sarah felt a rush. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was for everyone striving in the shadows. But just then, through the crowd, a figure emerged: the mayor, a polished but dynamic presence, stepping up to the podium with concern etched on his face. He had heard of the rally but had never expected a movement to surge this powerfully. "What is happening here today? This is important," he said, his voice steady but hesitant. "But we need to approach this with caution." The crowd hushed, eyes darting toward Sarah as if expecting her to take the helm. What would she say? Would she temper their passion for the sake of diplomacy? Or would she dare to push for real change? Richard's sneer deepened, sensing an opportunity to exploit any crack in her resolve. "Caution," she echoed, feeling the cheers of her community sustain her. "What we need is action. We need justice." The air crackled with tension. Everything felt fragile, poised on a knife's edge. Sarah realized the stakes had escalated far beyond just a rally. Richard clenched his jaw, frustration radiating from him. She could see his next move forming, the way a storm brews on the horizon. With determination fueling her words, she took a step closer to the microphone. "This is bigger than just us. This is about holding people accountable. Will we let fear quench our voice?" But before she could finish, a booming voice interrupted. "You think you can take me down, Sarah?" Richard shouted, now mere feet from her, his presence casting a shadow darker than before. "You don't know who you're messing with." The crowd gasped collectively, the atmosphere sizzling with anticipation. As they stood at the brink of a showdown, Sarah could feel the moment of truth hovering like a storm cloud ready to burst. What would happen next? Would she be able to stand her ground against Richard's threats? Would the community rally around her, or would fear silence them once more? Everything hung in the balance. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Richard loomed closer, his towering figure silhouetted against the vibrant rally behind her. In that instant, it felt like the universe had paused, the weight of the moment thickening the air around them. The tension was a living thing, swirling among the crowd and settling into the creases of Sarah's heart, urging her to react. "Do you think you're invincible?" she shot back, sensing a surge of courage rising from within. "Your wealth won't protect you from the truth." Her voice rang out, clear and fierce, cutting through the fog of doubt and fear. The crowd's energy morphed from anxious anticipation to passionate resolve. They regrouped, echoing her defiance in shouted affirmations and fists in the air, their collective strength a fortress around her. Richard's smile twisted into a sneer. "You think a few loud voices will change anything? Let me remind you, I have the power to crush dreams like yours." His words were laced with arrogance, a desperate attempt to intimidate. "Your power is built on the backs of our labor," Sarah countered, stepping forward with deliberate confidence. And we will no longer carry that weight in silence. She looked at her neighbors, her friends, the determination in their faces reflecting back at her. The mayor shifted uncomfortably, caught between the roaring crowd and Richard's simmering wrath. "Now, hold on," he interjected, trying to temper the fires. "We need to discuss this like adults," but his words barely pierced through the fervor of the rally. "Discuss?" Sarah interrupted, anger sparking within her. "How many discussions have we had without change? How many promises have been broken?" The crowd surged, their voices rising higher, drowning out the mayor's concerns. Suddenly, Jake appeared at the edge of the crowd, recording everything on his phone. The live feed streaming to thousands of viewers turned this moment into something even grander. His presence sent a shiver of hope through Sarah. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, a chance to rip down the veil of silence together. She caught his eye and nodded, the flicker of support fueling her resolve. "We are the heartbeat of this community," she shouted, locking eyes with Richard, who was now shifting uncomfortably. "You can't silence us. Our voices matter, our struggles matter, and we will fight for our dignity." Richard's expression faltered for just a moment, the dread creeping in around the edges of his bravado. The crowd intensified, their chants morphing into an anthem of unity. "Justice! Justice! Justice!" The energy swelled, a tide that seemed unstoppable. Through her anger and passion, Sarah noticed a few individuals crying, tears of both joy and despair. It hit her how deeply this resonated with them all. They were fed up. They were ready for change. As Richard's bravado seemed to crack, the mayor finally raised his hands, trying to instill calm. "Let us talk about this. We can find a solution," he began, but the crowd, unsatisfied with passive measures, roared again, drowning him out. "No more talking," someone yelled from the back, echoing what Sarah felt in her bones. "We need action." The palpable energy electrified the space around them. Sarah could see it in their faces, this raw emotion combining into a collective force that even Richard could not dismantle. But just then, Richard's next move sent a ripple through the crowd. A phone slid into his hand, the light blinking ominously. Was he about to strike back? A video? An image meant to soil her? The murmur of uncertainty began to creep through the crowd. "What is happening?" someone whispered. The vibrant moment felt like a fragile bulb, ready to shatter. What would he expose? And how would Sarah respond? The stakes were higher than they had ever been. A hush fell over the crowd, the energy shifting from fiery resolve to a tense anticipation. Sarah's heart raced, pounding loudly in her ears. She didn't want to show fear, but Richard's confidence in that moment threatened to shatter the unity they had forged. She could see the screen light up, illuminating his face with an eerie glow. "What is that?" someone hissed, eyes darting nervously among the sea of faces. "Let us see what he has up his sleeve," Jake whispered, never lowering the camera. His determination felt like a blanket wrapping around Sarah, holding her together. But the unfolding scene felt heavy, like a storm cloud ready to burst. Richard held the phone high, a smirk twisting his lips. "Let us shed some light on our little activist." He tapped the screen, and a video began to play, filling the air with the sound of muffled voices and static before settling into a clearer image. It was a clip shot months ago, back in the factory when Sarah had another job, before she got involved in the rally, before she started walking away from the shadows of silence. In it, she was seen arguing with a coworker during a break, their voices fluttering with concern and frustration. Before they could stand up to their supervisor, they had laughed together, shared moments of vulnerability, just like everyone else around her. The scene shifted to include snippets of her speaking against unfair wages, peppered with remarks that could easily be taken out of context. Richard's voice, once booming, was now a whisper of tension, feeding the crowd's unease. Is this the voice of someone who wants change or a winner? He taunted, tilting his head with mock sympathy. Gasps echoed amongst the crowd, and Sarah felt the color drain from her cheeks. Her stomach churned. She could feel uncertainty creeping in, curling around her like vines of doubt. How far would Richard go to discredit her? Was this what he meant by crushing dreams? But just as she began to falter, her eyes darted over the crowd, taking in the faces she recognized, the friends and neighbors who stood with her, ready to fight for something greater than themselves. She felt a ripple of support flow through them, igniting a spark inside her. "Richard!" Sarah shouted, her voice cutting through the murmur. "You think this will deter us? I've lived those moments. They're part of who I am. But they don't define my fight." Her heart raced as she linked her gaze with Jake's, determination coursing through her veins. "We're not just workers, we're people with real struggles, and your propaganda won't erase that." The crowd began to buzz again, reclaiming their strength with rising energy, chanting her name, repeating her words like a mantra. "Sarah! Sarah! Sarah!" Richard's hunched shoulders tensed up, unable to hide his frustration. He was losing control, and she could see it etched across his features. But he wasn't done. "You believe this will change anything? Facts don't lie. You're just a voice shouting into the void." "We're a chorus." Another voice shouted back, joined by eager affirmations. The energy surged once more, the crowd knitting closer together as they fed off each other's resolve. Sarah's breath steadied. She wasn't alone, she never had been. With Richard backed into a corner, Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Let's turn the tables. We're taking back our narrative. We won't let you twist our words any longer. We are done being silenced." The crowd erupted into a frenzy, feet pounding, fists raised, their voices merging into a powerful tide of unity. They were more than employees, they were a community ready to rise against oppression. But just as she felt the wave swell, Richard raised his hand, his fury simmering to a boiling point. "You think this is the end? You have no idea what I have planned next." His threat hung in the air, shrouded in mystery. What did he have in store? The battle was far from over. Would Sarah's resilience hold against the storm brewing in Richard's eyes? The stakes had never been higher. A palpable tension enveloped the crowd, the air thick with anticipation. Sarah could feel everyone's eyes drilling into Richard, waiting for his next move. Fear skittered in her chest, but it was quickly overwhelmed by a fierce determination. She wouldn't let him dictate this narrative. "Go ahead, Richard," she challenged, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside. "Show us what you really have. We're not afraid." Richard's smirk faltered for the briefest moment, but then it returned, more twisted than before as he scanned the crowd, weighing his options. "What I have, Sarah, is the end of your delusions." He stepped closer, thrusting the phone down as if it were a weapon. "Let me show you all this little secret, how the hype around this little protest is nothing but a joke." Suddenly, the screen flickered again. A new video loaded this time. It captured a private moment in their factory break room, where Sarah had confided in a friend about her frustrations, her aspirations twisted into weaknesses. The clip snapped back and forth, editing her vulnerabilities as if she were a performer on stage, unwittingly playing a part of someone who simply didn't belong. The crowd gasped collectively, and Sarah felt like she might drown in disbelief. They weren't just hearing her words, they were witnessing pieces of her humanity, coated in the undeniable sheen of propaganda. Her heart raced, and she could almost hear the gears turning in the minds of her friends. Would they turn on her? Would they see her just as Richard said, a winner? But just as doubt crept in, she refused to be swallowed by it. "If Richard wants to tear my words apart, then let him. I won't be ashamed of where I come from or what I feel." Her voice rang out, soaring over the whispers and uncertainty. "I am proud of imperfect moments. I'm proud to be fighting for something bigger than myself." With every beat of her heart, she sensed the crowd shift, their spirit reignited. More people began chanting her name again, almost as if they were daring Richard to push back harder. They wanted justice, they wanted truth. "Sarah!" Jake's voice cut through, urgency etched into his features as he moved through the throng. We can turn this around. Gather their stories. Prove that we're more than just words twisted in the wrong light. As he spoke, Sarah's eyes sparkled with recognition. Her emotions swelled inside her, rooting deep, spreading hope like a wildfire. This wasn't just about her fight anymore, it was a collective battle. Yes, she shouted, drawing them in. We can expose the truth. Everyone here share your stories. Let us show him what we're made of. Richard's expression soured, seeing his game fall apart. Just like that, a wave of voices began to rise, pouring out stories of struggle and resilience, tales of working against impossible odds, of late-night shifts and family sacrifices, but amid the surge of courage, a sudden, loud crack split the air. A group of Richard's supporters, eyes wide, hearts racing, had broken through the outer edges of the crowd. They brandished signs bearing caricatures of Sarah, mocking her, trying to drown out their voices. The hostility in the air thickened, fueling her fight and fear all at once. Push them back. We aren't backing down. Someone shouted, and the chant reverberated in an unbreakable rhythm. In that moment, watching unity surging in her community, uncertainty flickered away. Sarah squared her shoulders, standing firm, feeling the heartbeat of their cause. She understood then that every battle waged brought them closer together, and every moment of vulnerability turned into strength, but just when Sarah felt the tide of victory rising, Richard punched the air with renewed fury. You think this makes you strong? I've only just begun. He roared, his voice booming. Get ready for what I'll unleash. The threat loomed, heavy yet electrifying. Each heartbeat echoed like a war drum. What was his next move? Would the community prevail, or would Richard's threats threaten to tear them apart? The stage was set, and the stakes were higher than ever. The chaos swirled around Sarah as she locked eyes with Richard, fire igniting within her. She could feel the weight of the crowd's anticipation like a sea beneath her feet, ready to rise or crash at any moment. Everything she'd fought for, all the stories shared and the lives woven together in this moment, felt fragile yet electric, but Richard wasn't about to back down. His eyes gleamed with the wicked excitement of a predator. Unleash. How? By spinning more tales of your sorrows? He turned towards the crowd, punctuating his words with theatrics that sent chills down Sarah's spine. Let us remind them what truly drives the division, the truth they refuse to see. The crowd shifted restlessly. Unease slipped in, but Sarah could still sense a heartbeat, resilient, fierce, and unwilling to surrender. Listen. She shouted, cutting through Richard's taunts. The truth isn't just the highlight reel of our lives. It's every tear we've shed, every struggle we've faced. It's all of us standing here, hoping for something better. Joy mixed with rage erupted as people began to chant again. We are stronger. We are united. It echoed off the walls like a battle cry, shaking the very core of the atmosphere. Not strong enough. Richard snapped, while he raised the phone again, switching to another video. This one hit harder, an underground recording, capturing a moment when Sarah had vented her frustrations about management during a private conversation. His voice turned mocking, and he leaned into the phone. Let us see how this little snippet plays out, shall we? The winner of the century strikes again. The sound of gasps washed through the crowd, and a handful of faces turned, cheeks red with humiliation. They hesitated, questioning. But Sarah's heart raced, grasping for connection among the doubts. This is the game he plays. This is manipulation. She cried. But we are the truth, and we can stand united. Who will stand with me? Tell your truth. Jake's voice joined hers, bolstering her spirit. Everyone here has found strength in their struggles. Speak up now. They were palpable again, the heart of their collective story thundering in the air, defying Richard's ploys. One by one, voices began to lift, many trembling yet filled with purpose. Stories poured out, of unfair wages, long hours, and being treated as invisible. Richard's smirk slipped again as he held tight to his phone, desperately searching for another video to release. You think these stories matter? They make you pitiful, not heroic. But Sarah felt their unity swell, shimmering like light, cutting through the darkness. We're not afraid to be vulnerable, she exclaimed. With every echo of the crowd's affirmation, her heart soared higher. We're here because we believe. Our lives matter. Our stories are worth sharing. You want to show weakness? Look around. This is strength. Yet, even amid the rising tide, a shadow loomed closer, Richard's unyielding resolve pushing back. With a powerful voice, he bellowed, if you think this is over, think again. You've unleashed something far more dangerous than stories, something that'll end you. The crowd fell silent, tension rippling through the air like a charged wire. What did he mean? The unease snapped through Sarah. Richard had dealt in threats, but this felt different. The heaviness of his intent screamed of an emotional bomb waiting to detonate. The next move, the final blow, hung in the balance. Would they stand united, or would the weight of Richard's threats pull them apart? The chant faded as dread-filled silence fell over the gathering, broken only by Richard's wicked laugh. Just wait, you haven't seen the worst of me yet. His grin widened, dangerous and unyielding. In that split second, Sarah knew the stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined. The battle was far from over, and the next storm was about to unfold. Would they rise to meet it, or would fear fracture their community? As Sarah steeled herself for Richard's impending blast, a single thought echoed in her mind: the fight for their truth had only just begun. The atmosphere thickened, like the air before a storm. Faces in the crowd shifted from fear to determination, flickering like candles in the wind. Sarah could feel their collective heartbeat amplifying, matching her own as Richard's chilling words resonated around them. They were on the edge, teetering between doubt and courage. Remember why we came here? Sarah blurted, grasping tightly to the momentum they had regained. We didn't just gather to fight against him. We gathered because we want change. We want fairness. We want to be heard. Her voice rose, carrying both challenge and hope. A tentative cheer began to ripple through the crowd. Let him reveal his worst. Someone shouted from the back, emboldening those who hesitated. We want go down quietly. The words struck chords, and voices joined together, swelling like a wave. We will not be silenced. Richard's posture shifted, his expression morphing from mocking to unnerved. He hadn't anticipated this kind of rallying, this kind of energy pushing back against him. Sarah noticed it. His eyes darted, searching for a foothold. But he wasn't going to concede. Rallying behind her won't protect you. He sneered, attempting to regain his footing. You think your stories are powerful? Let us see how they hold up against the facts. He pointed the phone at her, fingers trembling with excitement, like a maestro about to reveal his greatest reveal. And then it hit. With a single tap, the screen illuminated another video, the fallout of their struggles displayed like a reality show gone wrong. Footage from interviews, moments shared in desperate vulnerability, the truth they thought they shared in trusted circles. Most of all, the clips showcased the very moments that revealed raw fear, the darker sides of their narratives that Richard could twist into caricatures of weakness. Gasps echoed, eyes went wide, but Sarah stood firm. She refused to let Richard dictate their truth. Look! She shouted, the urgency in her voice rising to a fever pitch. They are our stories, but they do not define us. We define how we move forward. Those moments of doubt don't erase our strength. Someone in the back shouted, he's just trying to tear us apart. More voices followed, each word layered upon the last, building into a collective roar. Together we can rise above. Jake's voice rang out once more, locking gazes around him, igniting flames of resolve in their hearts. And find our greater truth. Sarah could feel the weight lifting, the fear waning. Every story shared became a weapon, and every soft voice rallied into a chorus of strength. The walls of doubt began to crumble. But then, Richard smirked, a glimmer in his eye. You think this is a rally? Just wait until the truth I have tucked away comes to light. His voice dripped with malice. Forget vulnerability, listen as the bombshell of your failures lands. A chill passed through the crowd, and one thought sank in deep: what truth did he hold? The threat hummed ominously. The air hung heavy again, the crowd caught between confrontation and revelation. Sarah's heart raced. Could they withstand whatever he unveiled next? Stay with me, she called, urgency flooding her voice. We're stronger when we face the light together. We will not be defined by his games. But as she spoke, a nagging uncertainty crept into her mind. Was Richard hiding a truth that could shatter this newfound unity? As the tension crackled, Sarah caught sight of Richard's phone, its screen alive with the next potential bomb he was ready to drop. The moment felt pivotal, teetering on a knife's edge. Would they navigate this next upheaval, or would Richard's revelations pull them into chaos? What truth could possibly shake the foundations they'd barely begun to build? Impatience clawed at Sarah's resolve, urging her to prepare for the worst, for this was just the beginning. The crowd held its breath like a spring waiting to snap. Richard's satisfied grin lingered in the air, a reminder that darkness often lurked in the hardest truths. Sarah felt a wave of unease wash over her. She fought to steady herself, gripping the mic tightly as if it were an anchor. Hold on, she shouted, her voice slicing through the tension. We're more than what they record. We're a community. She emphasized each syllable, inviting them to step forward in their minds, to confront whatever bombshell Richard had on offer together. Richard's finger hovered above the screen, and she could see the flicker of the next video. A sneer twisted his lips. You think you have each other's backs? Let us see how deep those bonds run when the truth comes crashing in. He tapped the screen, and the crowd instinctively recoiled at the sudden burst of sound. The video began, flashes of their faces, snippets of conversations, young ones sharing struggles, elders reflecting on loneliness, all strung together as if to showcase their weaknesses. Richard masterfully edited it, piecing together their fears, magnifying every crack in their facade. Gasps resounded through the crowd. A collective flinch as their vulnerabilities danced across the screen, but Sarah stood firm. This is our reality, she called, her voice steadying like a calm after the storm. What he sees as fractures, we see as a tapestry woven with strength. Every moment, every stutter, every tear is a testament to our journey. Slowly the murmurs began again. She could sense them rising, fueled by her conviction. People around her shifted from fear to anger. That's right, someone yelled. Those are our stories, not his weapons. Richard's smirk faltered, just for a moment. She noticed. It was like seeing a chink in his armor. Keep talking, Sarah, he scoffed, though the bravado started to crack. Let us see how long you can hold this shaky ground. She took a step forward, her heart hammering in her chest. If you think our truth is broken, you have no idea how resilient we are. We will not crumble under your spotlight. We will shine brighter. The roar from the crowd ignited, unwavering and fierce. Jake took it further. Richard, you're showing us our past and we own it. But we're not defined by it. His voice was like fuel to the fire, and that energy surged. Someone in the front shouted, together. And suddenly the chant spread like a wildfire. Are you with us? It echoed. It was a rallying cry that spiraled into the streets, a heartbeat of collective spirit, but Richard, desperate to regain control, raised the volume, drowning their voices momentarily. Just as it seemed he would unleash a storm of chaos, he switched the video again. This time, another clip rolled. Sarah's heart sank. This time, it was a dark twist, a closely guarded secret of betrayal within their ranks, a person they distrusted, and whispers that could unravel everything they had pieced together. Tension spiked, brows furrowed, hearts racing in confusion and anger. The very thing she dreaded lay before them, the shadows of deceit creeping in. Now let us talk about who you really are, Richard proclaimed triumphantly, his eyes alight with a satisfaction born of malice. Sarah's stomach dropped. Would this division break their unity? Who is it? Someone cried, anguish lining their face. Who is betraying us? The crowd surged forward, collective apprehension twisting in the air, demanding answers. Sarah felt the weight of 1,000 unanswered questions hanging like storm clouds, and her chest tightened. Stay together. She pleaded, searching both their faces and Richard's eyes. We can face this. No matter what he throws at us, we are stronger united. Who stands with me? But could they confront the truth lurking in the darkness? Would their unity withstand the revelations yet to come? As whispers filled the air, she steeled herself for what would come next. The truth felt both thrilling and dangerous, like waiting for another clock to strike midnight. What or who would Richard unveil, and would it shatter everything they had fought to build? The screen flickered, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Richard leaned forward, triumphant, his fingers poised to reveal the impending fallout. The crowd shifted, anxiety palpable as faces contorted from anger to fear, searching for someone to blame. Enough games, Richard. Just tell us. Shouted a voice from the crowd, sharp and desperate. It was Mark, a local engineer known for his unwavering loyalty. That plea echoed the concern swirling in everyone's hearts. Richard relished the moment, fully aware of the anticipation he had created. He hit play, and the video switched to a clip that made Sarah's stomach knot. It was Kelly, a longtime member of their group, caught in a private conversation. The disdain in her voice was clear as she mentioned doubts about their collective mission. A recording of her discussing misgivings exposed her vulnerabilities and insecurities, cloaked in whispered tones, the damning betrayal hanging in the air. Gasps rippled through the crowd like shock waves. Eyes darted, each person processing the impact differently. Some turned toward Kelly, demanding answers. Others looked at Sarah, their trust wavering like a candle in the wind. No, this can't be happening, Sarah murmured, heart pounding. She needed to react fast. The unity they had built was crumbling before her eyes, and she sensed a fracture that could shatter everything they had fought for. Everyone, please. She called out, voice rising above the din. This is not how we define ourselves. Kelly has doubts, yes, but we're not here to shame each other. We're meant to lift each other up. She took a breath, holding on to her emotions. If someone feels lost, we should be the ones to help them find their way, not cast stones. The crowd paused, hesitating. Uncertainty lingered in the air like smoke from a fading fire. Richard scoffed, stepping closer. You think the truth is about lifting each other up? It's about facing the ugliness that lives among you. Look around. How can you survive this betrayal? His voice was sharp, cutting through their resolve. In that moment, Kelly stepped forward. She was visibly shaken, but steadied herself with a deep breath. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, she said, her voice cracking. I was scared. I voiced my doubts because I honestly didn't believe we could pull this off. But seeing all of you fight for this. Her eyes glistened. You have reignited something in me. I'm still here, I want to fight with you. The tension shifted like a tide, anger swirling into sympathy. Murmurs broke out, we all have doubts, we've all felt lost together, right? It was a stirring of hope amidst despair, a chance to embrace their imperfections. Sarah looked at Kelly, who was standing at the edge of the storm she had created. It's okay to feel lost sometimes, Sarah said softly, searching her gaze. What matters is that we're a family, and families stick together, even when things get hard. Let us listen and understand, not push each other away. More voices joined in, rising to meet the moment. We understand. Let us talk it through. Together. There was a transformation in the energy of the crowd, and underlying fears were slowly replaced with the essence of community, yet Richard's eyes darkened. The urgency to disrupt their newfound strength lingered. Don't think this is over. You can pretend you're strong, but I have more. His words hung heavy, a harbinger of threats still to come. Sarah locked eyes with him, resolve igniting in her veins. Bring it on, Richard. We'll face whatever you throw at us. Together. This community exists for each of us. But in the back of her mind, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. What else did Richard have in store? What would he unveil next to try and rip them apart? As crackling tension hung in the air, she realized they were teetering on the edge of what could either strengthen them or tear them apart. And the next revelation could change everything. The air electrified as Richard's smile widened, masking the turmoil brewing within him. He cleared his throat, an ominous calm sweeping over the crowd. You think this is unity? Your leader is weak, and I'm going to prove it, he taunted, raising his phone again. Sarah felt her stomach twist. What more could he reveal? Before she could brace herself, the screen lit up with images of their struggles paired with chaotic clips of empty promises and unmet needs. This is the truth, he sneered, your own words against you. You're fighting for a cause, yet your leader cannot even keep her family afloat. Gasps echoed through the crowd, and Sarah's breath caught. The file revealed intimate moments of her struggles as a single mother, tones of frustration and fatigue murmuring through tears of worry for her kids. She struggled not to retreat into herself, her heart pounding with the realization that each flaw was laid bare. Look at her, Richard shouted, relishing the moment. This is who you're banking on. But Sarah's resolve hardened. The vision of her children, their faces bright with hope, surged to the forefront of her mind. These are my struggles, Richard. She shouted back, steadying the heat rising in her chest. But every single one has made me stronger. We are not defined by our hardships. As a chorus of encouragement rose from the crowd, people who'd seen her dedication firsthand, she felt the tide start to turn back in her favor. We are here because we believe in each other. I'm not just a leader. I stand with you as a proud member of this community. The crowd began to pulse with energy, voices mingling together in a thundering rhythm. Sarah! 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 Echoed through the air, their chant driving the fear away, igniting a wave of hope. Richard's expression faltered, a flicker of uncertainty passing across his face. His confidence seemed tested, but he quickly masked it with defiance. Joy, sorrow, confusion, those emotions mean nothing in capitalism. You think mere words will win you favor with anyone but fools? Maybe. Sarah shot back, imbued with a fierce spirit. But words have power. We take action against injustice, we stand shoulder to shoulder as a community. You can twist my moments, but they won't drown out our truth. Look around you. We're more than workers, we are families, dreams, and aspirations coming together for a better life. As she spoke, she felt the energy weaving around them, the crowd's vigor spiraling into an undeniable force. People began to speak out, sharing their stories of empowerment fueled by struggle and determination. Each voice added to the tapestry, reinforcing their bonds, layering hope and anger into a resilient patchwork that Richard's cruelty could not tear apart, that he thrashed against it, frustration mounting. You think this is enough? I will unleash everything I have. Then bring it. Someone in the crowd shouted back. We're not going anywhere. The challenge rumbled through, sparking the flame of courage everyone felt deep within. Sarah's heart swelled with pride. They stood united, and she sensed the profound shift in the air. Richard's authority faced the rising tide of defiance he had not anticipated. Suddenly, Jake pushed through the crowd, his phone still recording, feeding live updates to a larger audience online. We're showing the world our stories. Who's with us? Together. The crowd roared, amplifying the moment. Mobilization began to spread like wildfire, a beacon igniting across the community. Richard's grip on his phone tightened, his arrogance cracked further. With a last-ditch effort, he waved his arms wildly. Your stories are nothing. I can destroy your lives at a whim, remind you of your failures. You are nothing without me. But the voices chanting "We are enough" shrilled louder and louder. A glimmer danced in Sarah's heart. She stepped forward, heart racing but unwavering. "You want to rip us apart? Go ahead. But we will rise again, and again, as many times as it takes. You cannot take our lives. You cannot silence the heartbeat of this community." The crowd erupted once more, vibrant with life and spirit. Each soul grew brighter as they chimed their triumphant cries beside Sarah. Richard's face twisted in disbelief, his bravado suffocated by the forceful energy of their defiance. "You all are nothing but a flash in the pan." He spat, desperation seeping through. But even he knew these words lacked power now. The community had found their strength, their voice unshakable. In a culminating moment, the mayor stepped up, his expression serious. "It's time we turned this anger into action. Let us create real conversations, real changes, and I'll make sure your stories get heard." The crowd roared again, exhilaration filling the air like sunshine seeping through storm clouds. They were no longer adrift, weighed by fear and manipulation. The rally ultimately transformed into a vibrant platform. Sarah was filled with an extraordinary sense of pride. They had faced formidable challenges and pushed through, no longer silenced, tinkered, or swayed by intimidation. Today would be a launching point, a testimony that truth, when shared, could reshape their lives. Amidst the cheer, she turned to Richard, who stood tremulous in the sea of voices, shrinking before the united force of the community he had tried so desperately to undermine. "You may have tried to tear us apart," she declared. "But together, we will build a future that uplifts every voice. The truth does matter, and ours will guide the way forward." As daylight broke through the din of the struggle, the rally concluded not merely in defiance but in a heartfelt promise, a community reborn through resilience, supported by shared stories and unyielding love. Sarah glanced at her neighbors, friends, and family, realizing they had become more than just a group. They were a movement fueled by shared passion and undeniable strength. And as the world outside listened and learned, they had succeeded in their mission, standing together, strong enough to face any storm. Now, as you reach the end of this journey with Sarah, choose to be part of the movement that fights for each voice. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your thoughts matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Only true fans understand the power of support, so let us spread this message far and wide.